So much of our life and our minds are divided, right? Even in our minds, we talk about the left brain and the right brain. We have friends and family. We have work and life. We have things that we want to do, and we have things that we have to do. We have things that we're looking forward to, and there are things that we wish we never had to go to, right? Everything's divided. The only way to change our work life, our personal life, is to start seeing things as connected, to look for patterns, parallels, synergies in all areas of our life. And that way we no longer have this tension. When things are disconnected, when things are opposing each other, that's when we experience friction and tension. But when we look at things as a whole, we start to remove that away. Harvard did a research study on 3,000 leaders, managers, individuals working inside organizations. And they looked at the top performing ones and they wondered and asked, what was the number one skill they had? And it came down to this one word: associating. The ability to connect dots where people usually see differences. The ability to find parallels and similarities and synergies where other people only see divide and disconnection. We live in these echo chambers inside our organizations. We get lost around the same group of 3 to 4 people. We get lost in the same mini groups of people, and we don't expand our minds beyond that. People with broader networks, people who had people in their lives that were very different from the other people, were actually able to provide more creative, more productive, more effective ideas and solutions in the company, because they were able to look at things from multiple angles, different perspectives. How can we start to recognize that when we win and someone else wins, when we win together, when we're able to help and serve and support each other together, that so much more can happen? And this is us really challenging ourselves to think human in a digital world. It's just we start talking these abbreviations, these acronyms, these slang terms or short terms, and we stop being able to communicate effectively with someone face to face. We think that sending them an email will actually worry them less, when actually we all know that our anxiety increases because when we're seeing our notifications build up, when we're spending more time in front of a screen, we're losing that community feel. And so often we miscommunicate how we feel and misinterpret how someone else feels when we're communicating digitally. It leads to so much more breakdown in teams, so much more lack of trust, and you don't know what mindset someone's in. How many times have you rushed and sent an email from your phone when you're busy? And it's not just your grammar and punctuation and spelling that's off, it's also your tone, because you're actually being caught in a moment. The more we can move away from that and bring our human selves to each other, the more we actually save time, save money, and save energy. We think digitally communicating will save that. Actually, it won't. The simple step of moving from digital to human will actually save us so much more time, so much more productivity, because the number one cause for inefficiency is a lack of trust. And when you talk to someone online, you don't just build trust easily, but when we talk to people face to face, when we connect with them one to one, even over the smallest thing, naturally trust develops. If you had 100 hours to invest in your self-development, in what you were good at, what you were average at, and what you were bad at, how would you split that time? When this question was asked to 200 of the most healthy, wealthy, wise people in the world, what they found is that their percentages were 100-0-0 or 80-10-10. And the reason for this was very simple. When we focus on things we're naturally good at, and we invest in them, we become exceptional at them. When we focus on things that we're average at, we may get good at them. And when we focus on things we're naturally bad at, we may become average at them. The hard skills that we have, the actual hard, tangible skills that we have, we should focus on our strengths. But when it comes to our qualities or emotional intelligence, we should focus on our weaknesses. So if you have a challenge with something like listening, you don't go, oh yeah, Jay told me not to focus on my weaknesses, so I'm not going to bother getting better at my listening, right? Listening is a soft skill. If you have a weakness in a soft skill, you want to give that your energy. But if you have a strength in a hard skill, you want to give that your energy and focus. And usually we do it the other way around. If we're bad listeners but good at something else, we let it roll. We say, oh, that's okay, that's not a big deal. But when it comes to things like empathy, emotional intelligence, vulnerability, listening, communication, connection, These are things that we can improve in. And when it comes to our natural strengths, our skills, our hard skills, we can play to those as well. And when we play to our strengths, when we understand our role and our offering, and we recognize that actually that person has their offering, we recognize it's not that we disagree with each other, it's not that that person's trying to take me down, it's just that we speak different languages. We generally talk to people like they're exactly the same. And people generally talk to us like we're exactly the same. We usually expect that people will respond to things in the same way as we will. We just have this lens. Until we start recognizing that there are different wirings for different people, so they all respond to different things. And there's a beautiful statement that's often attributed to Albert Einstein where he said that everyone's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life believing that it's stupid. And so many of us in our own life are either trying to be something or we're connecting with people differently. All of us can mindfully approach any conversation in the workplace, with a partner, potentially even with a patient or wherever it is, understanding that person's language. The point being that everyone was trying to achieve the same goal. And I want you to do that. I want you to give yourself the benefit of the doubt and the people around you that everyone is trying to work towards the same goal. If we can just learn to speak each other's language, then we'll be able to improve our communication. Connected thinkers are able to approach the same problems but with fresh eyes like children. When children see a washing machine, they think it's a time machine, right? When children see a phone, they don't just think it's a phone to call people, they see it as like a portal into another world. As we get older and we get more results driven and we get more focused on getting to the deadline and the target, we put aside our lateral creative mind and we're focusing on getting the job done, whereas kids generally don't really get anything done. But are able to expose their creativity. So what I'm encouraging here is childlike thinking, not childish thinking. And one of the biggest mistakes we make in our communication with our teams and groups of people around us is that we assume we already know. Or we come up with a situation in the workplace which we've heard of before and we assume it's exactly the same as before. When the truth is, human experience may be similar, but it's never the same for the person going through it. And so when we start thinking like children, when we look at things through fresh eyes, when we hear the same problem time and time and time again, but we're able to approach it and say, no, I'm going to be more present, I'm going to be more conscious, I'm going to be more empathetic, and I'm really going to listen in to what this truly is, what the challenge truly is. That's when we accept childlike thinking, not childish, childlike. And when you listen to people around you, how can you bring that same perception and say, I know I feel like I've heard this before, I know I think I know the answer already, but I'm still going to listen because there still may be something more for me to understand. What status quo can you challenge that will make you better, more effective, more productive and creative? How many times do we say that to ourselves? This is just the way it is. We just accept it. The way we're communicating, the way we're communicated to, the way we're thinking, the way people are thinking about us. Where can we start? Again, as a team, as a community, applying that same mindset to shifting things. We will never be able to solve the toughest problems inside our organizations, inside our teams, when we don't adopt community thinking, when we don't realize that someone from another industry, from another area, from another space could inspire us, when we don't realize that if we're not working together, if we're not thinking win-win, it's really hard to shift things. Is that really the best way we can do it? Are we really going to accept the status quo? Are we really going to say we need that critical thinking, but we need to do it together, not to each other, but together? Often critical thinking happens to each other. That person's not getting it right. How can we all critically think together as a community? I would encourage all of you to think about what you do on a daily basis and redefine it, redescribe it. Come up with your own vocabulary to talk about the incredible work you do. Because the more meaningful you think it is, the more meaningful your team will think it is, and the better your well-being, the better your mental health, the better your own communication, the better your ability to deal with stress and pain. And so when we can explain what we do meaningfully, when we can give it that vocabulary, when we can have the community mindset for the people we work with and the people who work with us, we can truly adopt what it means to be a connected thinker. Here are 3 signs you're struggling with a lack of purpose. Number 1, you feel pressure to know what you want to do with your life. Number 2, you've lost interest in your own life and feel disconnected. Number 3, you don't know what your skills are or you feel you lack them. Hope is not lost. You can get through this. Having purpose and meaning in our lives helps guide us through the ups and downs and create structure in our day-to-day life. That's why I've partnered with Calm, the leading app for mental health and wellness. The app has a library with thousands of meditations, songs to help you relax and focus, and sleep stories to help you get a good night's rest. And now you can find the Daily J, a daily series where I'm sharing proven tools and techniques to improve your mindset and mental health in a matter of minutes.